Hey there, and welcome to another episode of One Email, Two Takes. I'm Will Allred, and this is the weekly Sales Hackers show where me and my co-host, Christina Finseth, break down cold emails and offer our two takes and two rewrites on emails that were either sent to us hoping to get a response or sent to us hoping for some feedback. Now, obviously, I'm flying solo this week, and I've got an extra special email. Now, who am I? Will Allred. I'm co-founder at a company called Lavender. We help sales reps write better emails faster with a Chrome extension. And so we see a lot of emails. We've got a lot of data. And one of the biggest data points that I like to point to is that cold emails written at a fifth grade reading level get the most replies. Now, most emails, about 70%, are written at or beyond a 10th grade reading level. That means you have to really simplify your writing down. But one of the biggest things that I hear from reps is, my emails are complicated because they have to be. I sell a complex technical solution. So of course I've got to add, verbiage. I have to make sure they know that I know what I'm talking about. And this is a fallacy that I cannot wait to dig into and showcase for y'all. So let me share my screen so I can show y'all a pretty standard technical email. Now, this email here, Alfonso, I presume you saw this document, Kubernetes Hardening Guide from National Security Agency, also known as the NSA. It recommends that pod security must be hardened using SEL Linux, AppArmor, and Seccomp. This is precisely what we do. We have an open sourced R Kubernetes runtime security platform, Blank, and it has been embraced by CNCF. Which, if you're not aware, is a cloud native foundation. Our enterprise platform, Blank, delivers advanced features such as policy management, unsupervised learning, GitOps integration, SIEM, SOAR integration, etc. I am keen to chat with you for 15 minutes to discuss areas how we can assist you in your Kubernetes hardening runtime security initiatives. Cheers. Now, there's a few grammatical errors in here where it just doesn't read necessarily correctly. One of my biggest pieces of advice for sales reps is to read your emails out loud, and you'll find these pretty quickly. Like this area here, 15 minutes to discuss areas how we can assist you. That reads very oddly. And then the other one being, we have open sourced our Kubernetes runtime. I guess that does make sense. It just read weird the first time I went through it because you can't open source something as a verb. But this is a really complicated message. It's written beyond a 12th grade reading level. There's an easy way to just simplify this down, and it's just cut a lot of this verbiage out. So the key things here are this Kubernetes hardening guide for the NSA. You've got the fact that pod security needs to be hardened. That's the NSA's recommendation, and they've got a platform that helps with that. Now, everything below is kind of extra. You've got this open source runtime security platform. It's been embraced by CNCF. Nice, here's what we do. Here's some credibility behind it. But then we've got an enterprise platform, something, delivers advanced features, and then we're getting into feature dropping, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 features, and then they ask for 15 minutes, which, if you've ever followed anything I write, that's just running straight into a mental spam filter. But even if it said worth having a call about, this section here is just running a nightmare. So I mean, if you cut this section, and then you just said worth taking a look, you've automatically just made this a better email. Now, is it perfect? Far from, but you've definitely doubled your chances of getting a response and likely a meeting by getting rid of that ask for time and moving to an interest-based CTA, and dumping all those features is definitely going to boost your response rates. It's not simplifying it just enough though. So I'm going to show you a couple approaches that I found to be pretty successful when it comes to simplifying your language. Now, the first one is using your signature line to take a lot of the lift off of your copy. And so subject, I just used Kubernetes, right? Just topic-based, very boring. Alfonso, did you check out the NSA's latest piece on Kubernetes? My assumption is I don't need to tell you that the NSA is the National Security Association. It's pretty much one of those colloquial terms since the early 2000s. They're big on pod security hardening right now. Curious if your team has had success using SEL, SE Linux, AppArmor, or SecComp. Their suggestion. Cheers. What I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to start conversation. And so I'm just asking, hey, did you see this piece? It's a, this is the big thing that they're recommending, and here's how they're recommending you do it. And then that's their suggestion. If the person reads this and they wonder to themselves, well, why is this person asking me about this? Well, you see down here in the subject line or the signature line that it's a Kubernetes runtime security platform. So you'd be like, oh, interesting. Curious, how does your Kubernetes security platform help with this, right? You're trying to stoke curiosity. And I even threw in an extra tagline of embraced by CNCF. Now, if it's the only one embraced by CNCF or the only open sourced one embraced by CNCF, I would throw that in there, right? It's extra credibility to just add into that signature line. What the signature line does is help stoke that curiosity and drive more response. Your only goal here is to get response. So a really simple way to take this from a 12th grade reading level down to, I believe this measured at a 6th grade reading level. If not, I think it's just barely at a 7th grade, just because we have to use these terms. But it's a pretty simple way to do it. And then the follow-up could be sending them the actual article. That's not a bad follow-up for an email like this. Okay, so this is the first way to do it. Put some of the lift onto the signature line when it comes to talking about what you do. And it can generate a lot of curiosity here. Now, here's the second approach. I refer to this as like a priority check, right? So it's like, hey, is this top of mind for you right now? Because if it's not, you're not going to get a response. So Alfonso, if you saw the NSA's new security recs on Kubernetes, they sounded the alarm bell on hardening. We built a runtime security platform that helps with this. Open to checking it out. Very simple. Here's the trigger, which the NSA has new recommendations on security. They sounded an alarm bell for this, right? Driving some urgency. We have a solution that solves what that problem is. Do you want to see it? Very simple, but it's written at a 6th grade reading level. So if I go from, the data would show me, if I go from the average 10th grade reading level email and I take that down to a 5th grade reading level email, I've boosted my chances of getting a response by 50%. Like, that's astounding when you can like think about, especially if you added personalization to this, this is an easy win by just saying a lot less and using simpler language, right? I mean, you can use the subject line here to say like pod hardening, so you don't have to add those syllables into that sentence. So it's like new security recs on Kubernetes, sounding the alarm bell on hardening. Well, what kind of hardening? You kind of know from the subject line. It's an easy tie-in. There's some other things within this like original language, like that's precisely what we do. You don't have to say precisely. This is what we do. We've open sourced our Kubernetes runtime platform, period. And you could say the name has been embraced by CNCF. I presume you saw this document. Yeah, you've already seen how I would rewrite that to make it simpler, but like this isn't terrible, but it could just be simplified. That's really the key, is these technical products don't actually require these extremely technical emails to get response. You can really simplify these things down and hit on the same problems and get to the same goals. So one way, signature line lift. 2, just check if it's a priority. You don't have to say every feature that goes into the product in order to do that. So this was one email, 2 takes, diving into a technical email and simplifying it up. If you enjoyed this, definitely subscribe to Sales Hacker. This goes out to their weekly newsletter and is posted on their YouTube channel anytime it goes live. But until next time, I'm Will Allred, and appreciate you stopping in.